short back and sides. Where are we going with this? It's up the all-off. Jofra Archer to complete his 6th over. Guess what? It's a short ball in at the ribs, and it's tucked down to deep backward square for a single. The end of the 30th over, 176 for 2, and Nestle Boy's just disappeared.
He's coming back. He's coming back. And in the meantime, in the breaking overs, I'll just remind you how you can help this poor, impoverished organisation that's known as Guerrilla Cricket.
The best things in life are free. Just like Guerrilla Commentary, we need money. That's what I want. We need money. I don't like the BBC. I prefer Guerrilla Commentary. I want money. $20 for the archive. That's what I want.
Or just buy a t-shirt. Go to the GuerrillaCricket.com website and buy yourself a t-shirt. We're going to have some new limited edition World Cup ones coming in very soon as well, so you'll be able to order those. As Rashid starts a new over, and a rather premeditated paddle from Hafiz down to long leg brings him a single. He goes to 22 off 22. Babar is on 61 off 61.
Well, they should be in very soon, otherwise it'll be the wrong World Cup you'll have on the front.
Absolutely. Well, no, they'll probably be okay for the next World Cup, because I'll tell you what they say. In he comes again, and Babar goes back, forcing through mid-on. There'll be an easy jogged single. Basically, we have a t-shirt that is bemoaning the situation in which we find ourselves, which is with only 10 teams in this World Cup. The narrowing of borders, as it were. In comes Rashid, really tosses this one up, but it's carted straight and high and long by Hafiz, and that has gone all the way, I tell you, all the way, allowing Nestle Boy to squeeze it with his Ribena into the chair for 6 runs. 83 metres that one. He kind of leant back a little bit as he was playing that one, but he got the elevation he wanted. Rashid has the ball back in his hand. He bowls short. It's a googly, and it's fetched out towards long on, and there's nobody there either. That is 4 more. 10 runs in 2 balls. Rashid is taking a bit of punishment today.
It's Nissan Shi. It's Nissan Shi.
Pakistan move on to 188 for 2.
Yeah, the professor very much read that one from Rashid. He picked the googly very early, and a lot of Pakistan fans don't much care for Mohammad Hafiz. I always think he's a very useful cricketer.
I do. I like him a lot. He's a decent batsman. He's a decent bowler. He's decent in certainly this and the Test match form of the game. Back to those t-shirts. We're bemoaning the fact that there are only 10 teams in the World Cup. So on the basis that this is a slider which he tries to cut late but makes no contact with, through to the keeper it goes. But I suspect we'll be making the same point in the next World Cup, which is we want a bigger World Cup. It'll probably be another 10 teams unless we can put pressure on the ICC. Now that's rather smeared from the line of off stump all the way out to Moeen Ali at deep mid wicket. It went straight to him though. So just a single. The end of Rashid's 5th over. That one went for 13. And he has now bowled 5 overs and has figures of none for 43, so not his day so far.
Ed Benson says, just returned from lunch at the European Parliament. Ooh. The Secretariat is in Luxembourg to find Fred on BBB, ball by ball. Now that's karma.
Indeed, indeed. Well, he's gone now. He's gone to have a little rest. Bless his soul. Hafiz has 33 off 26. Babar 62 off 62. The score is 189 for 2 with 19 overs remaining.
Our colleagues at Guerrilla Cricket South Africa will be interested in your views on this, gentleman, because I certainly don't agree. They say England are letting this game drift. This is exactly how South Africa's game felt against Bangladesh yesterday. Suddenly you're chasing 320 and any mistake is punished. Admittedly, England should be able to chase anything.
Well, I don't know that I agree with that. I mean, in one sense, yes, because I think you've got to say that Pakistan have actually taken the ball by the horns a little bit and played some good shots. Archer came back in when they thought they needed to slow the run rate down. It's Rashid that's been leaking runs at the other end. It's Wood now back into the attack. 4 overs, number 13. Bowls a full ball, which is steered through the offside. They're certainly going to get 1. They might come back for a second. Root is the man out there, and they hurry back. Hafiz has to put in the dive, but I think he's safe enough. But takes them on to 191 for 2.
Would you like Mark Wood's jingle?
Yes.
Do you know Mark Wood?
Not personally.
Yes, he is an England bowler, quite good and pretty quick.
So just a normal guy.
Of course, except for just one thing.
What?
He thinks that he's a horse.
Right. What?
I mean, I don't think England are letting it drift. I mean, Jason Roy dropped the sitter. If he'd taken that, then...
Yeah, and I think they're switching the bowlers around, and the fact that Wood's come back in to take over from Archer. He's in. Oh, now that's chipped in the air, but just wide of the man at mid-wicket. In fact, to his left. It means that Moeen Ali is the man running around from mid-on to do the fielding as they come through for a single.
I think Pakistan just got kind of constipated in that 10-over spell where I was on ball by ball, which I think only 1 over went for more than 6. So to go 10 overs without going at a run of ball in any over other than 1 really is blocking things up. And now they've released themselves again here, Pakistan. It's very hard to defend under white ball cricket rules, we know that.
Wood in, bowls, and dabbed down, very fine. Might think about coming back for a second as Rashid picks up on his left hand, pivots and throws with his right, and got the ball into the air quickly, which prevented them from taking the second they were thinking of.
Mike Mehal Wood says, I thought you would like to know that as the Patreon jingle was playing, the TV coverage showed a man playing a cricket back guitar.
I saw that, yes.
Nice to see Guerrilla Cricket and Sky Sports working together.
Yeah, very tuneful indeed. I've seen that. We should have a Gorilla bat made into a guitar, shouldn't we, really? I've got a friend who does make guitars, so maybe I'll send him down to his shed with a Gorilla bat and see what he comes up with. Here's Wood in. Again, bowls flicked away off middle and leg by Hafiz, all the way along the ground out to deep square, and they take a single.
We could send it to Mog.
Well, the postage and packaging would be quite expensive, wouldn't it?
I just think
Does he actually make his own guitars?
No, but he plays them.
Well, he plays them, yeah, but you send him a cricket bat. He's not necessarily going to be able to turn it into a guitar.
No, get your mate to make the guitar. And
And then send it to Mog.
Yeah,
I see what you mean. Sorry, yeah, okay, fair enough.
I thought the cricket back guitar reminded me a bit of that guitar in Mad Max Fury Road, only it didn't look anything like as good.
I don't think I've ever seen any of the Mad Max films. Wood bowls again, hits him on the pad. It's a big appeal, but it looked to me like it was going down the leg side. Throw comes in. He saw it. So Rasmus suddenly realised the ball was coming in his direction, and he got a bit of a move on, didn't he? It was good to see a slightly portly man forced to run, and well, fortunately for the batsman, it didn't hit Wood, Mark Wood, or the stumps.
Well, Hendo, you're in for a treat because Mad Max 1 is superb film. Mad Max 2 is pretty good. Mad Max 3 you can take or leave. And Mad Max Fury Road is fantastic.
Which is the one with Tina Turner in?
That's Mad Max 3, that's not so good.
The Thunderdome, or what is it?
Beyond
Thunderdome. Oh dear.
Final ball of Wood's over outside the off stump, and Hafiz just lays this down as if unrolling a blanket or something, and it goes down to third man, and that is the end of the over. 196 for 2. Hafiz 38, Babar 64.
I've just caught up with the Last Kingdom on Sky or something. It's where all of us Games of Thrones fans who they say, oh, if you watch this if you're missing Game of Thrones, and it's very good.
I'll have to look. I still haven't seen the last 2 episodes of Game of Thrones because I just can't really be bothered because it's the first.
Well, you probably know what happens
of that season. I haven't, so don't give me a spoiler. Somebody will tweet it.
Crikey, you must be the only person in the world who doesn't know.
But I just can't be bothered watching it. But I am watching something which is absolutely extraordinary on Netflix. I'm watching BoJack Horseman, which is impossible to describe. But particularly after the sort of first half of the first season, when it suddenly picks up because the writers think, sod this, we'll do what we want. Absolutely extraordinary series. And
what's it about?
BoJack Underwater in the middle of season 3.
Oh, hang on, is this the cartoon thing?
It's an animation, yeah. And
with a horse.
But and if Anton Chekhov was writing today, I think he'd be writing for BoJack Horseman. It has lots of Chekhovian comedy in it of the darkest hue, and it has more psychological insight than lots of other things. And the animation and the design is just continually astounding. It's an extraordinary show.
A lot of burbling going on because there's a drinks break at the moment.
Well, we're watching England football at the moment.
It's we've got it's Emfo, your friendly sports guy.
Oh, yes, we know
Of course,
Emfo.
at Gorilla South
Yeah.
Africa says, Simon, remember England chased down 343 times in the series before the Cricket World Cup, so they should be fine.
Well, they
yes,
should be,
that was a 4-0, wasn't it, with one
Yeah,
watcher
but you know,
against Pakistan.
there are going to be days, and we've seen it quite a lot with this England team, where it all goes horribly wrong, and nobody gets any runs really, and so England
Well, I
just
don't
need to
think
have that sort of day.
This isn't going horribly wrong.
No, not at the moment, but I say
No.
if they're batting and they're chasing 340, they could quite easily lose 2, 3, 4 quick wickets. I mean, we've seen the situation, wasn't it, at Lord's a couple of years ago when Rabada ran through them and had them 20 for 6. We saw them bowled out for 112, I think it was, in the one-day series, the final one-day in the West Indies, in St Lucia. So, you know, that every now and again England will get it horribly wrong.
I'd rather they get it horribly wrong in these matches, though,
Well,
than the knockout.
Agreed. Well, I mean, there really is only one knockout.
But the way they play cricket with the almost relentless attack, there are going to be times when it goes wrong.
Yes.
But to be fair, it's going wrong less and less frequently, partly because with Wokes back in the side, the depth of the batting, the opportunities to recover are fantastic. You know, you've got in this, there's only really one bunny, isn't there, in this side? It's Mark Woods. I mean, who's in it? Tenadil Rashid?
Well, you say that, but Mark Wood's got a Test 50.
Yeah.
You know, so
But you know, right the way down the order, there's people who can make 50s at a run a ball, and so they can't always dig you out of trouble. But there are so many options for England to go big at the beginning, to sit in the game and then recover. It's, to be fair, England put together a project to create a winning side for this World Cup, and they have produced a winning side. Of course, whether that winning side will go on to win sufficient matches to deliver the World Cup is a different matter, but they've certainly produced a winning side.
no, that's absolutely true. I mean, it's much more hard, though, to recover from 20 for 6 than 130 for 5. In comes Moen, swept. New bowler, I should say, to my man on the right.
Here we go.
Archer does the fielding.
Shouldn't touch. Move over, Amlo. I like it too much. Move over, Amlo. You're one hairy dish. I love unconditionally. It's Moeen Ali.
Just looking at that field from above and from behind the wicket, I'd say the man on the 45 is more or less on the 60, actually. A very fine angle that he's got there. He's going to have to move towards his left to get this one, because it's rebounded off the pad of Babar, and they've come through for a leg by.
Yeah, Moeen's bowled very well today. Roy Palmer's with us, says good afternoon, we're doomed. On the upside, Liverpool champions of Europe, well hey.
How come there were 750,000 people in Liverpool yesterday? I mean, they only get about 40,000 to each game. Now he waits for this as Hafiz and then pokes it to short third man. The throw comes in, and again it's another accurate one, which takes the bail off, but he was home, and he's just letting sweat drip from his brow, comes through the grill. It must be very hot and taxing work out there.
El Hendo, though, you know, he said it's a fantastic day for the city.
Well, I
of
can only
Liverpool.
imagine that
You know,
all the Everton fans and all the Tranmere fans were out as well.
No, I don't think so. I think it was very full flights from Scandinavia.
500,000 of those fans are Arsenal supporters.
Yeah, right. Is that what it was? Yes, you might well be right.
Lee points out a fun fact about Fury Road is that the guitar is made of bedpans.
Ooh, that's interesting to know. Well, we got cricket bats, we got bedpans. You can make guitars out of anything,
No,
seemingly.
hang on.
What's up? They're going to have a look, and it's not out. I mean, it's utterly ridiculous. He was well home.
And Ed Benson says Bojack is incredible, Gary, and only gets better.
Moeen bowls and making room for himself. Hafiz chops it towards Mark Wood. That short third man, they've got time to come through for one.
But Ed further advises me that I should really watch the last episode of Game of Thrones, which is the strongest episode of the season. Yeah, I really should, but I'm so addicted to Bojack that I can't at the moment.
Moeen again, just the 2 runs plus the leg by off this over, and down the wicket comes the batsman. He's lofted it, but I'm not sure he's got enough on it, and it's a brilliant catch again. Is it Mark Wood or is it Chris Wokes? I think it's Chris Wokes. He's dived forward, he's taken another excellent catch, and Moeen has a third wicket. Babar has gone on 63, and just when they really didn't want to lose a wicket, Pakistan have done so. You got the impression that he hadn't really got hold of all of that, and it was only poor camera work that made me wonder what was happening. Eventually, Wokes came into view, and he just managed to grasp that before it hit the turf, and he's taken a couple of good ones today on the run, and Pakistan are 199 for 3.
It was dying on him a little bit, and he was worried about running in too far, so in the end he misjudged it a little bit, but he got out of trouble with his good hands coming forward, both hands intercepting the ball, grasping it underneath. Decent fielding there from Wokes.
Did anyone see the boxing the other night?
Oh.
With that big fat bloke?
Fat bloke wins boxing match.
He beat Anthony Joshua, didn't he? You've seen what Anthony Joshua looks like, and he was world champion.
Well, I'm
belts.
more than delighted that a bloke with.
I mean, this guy was
it.
literally just.
So what did Joshua do wrong? Apart
Well,
from allowing himself to get hit.
This guy was brought in as a last-minute replacement.
Oh, was he?
Oh, yeah,
I didn't know
yeah.
that.
And he was just. It was almost. You thought, oh my god, it's embarrassing.
I can't actually get interested in boxing because it's always about 4 o'clock in the morning.
Well, no, but this was interesting given the physique of this poor
Well, it's not.
fella.
Surely it's not unlike heavyweights of the past. I
No,
think
but
they tend to be more.
no, Hendo, you've got to see a picture of this fella.
No, I have seen a picture of him. I've seen the punch that laid him down.
Yeah.
Anyway, out to the wicket comes the Pakistan captain Sarfaraz Ahmed, and his jingle goes a little bit
Well, he's not batting
like he does after this ball. They're running through for a single here as Rashid comes round at short fine leg, and that is the end of the over. Moeen has now bowled 8, and this is, for our South African friends who were saying that England had let this go, I think they've pulled it back, haven't they? Their third wicket for Moeen, 3 for 39 off 8. They've switched the bowling around because they've been struggling to get that breakthrough. So I think Owen Morgan's been doing pretty much all he can. So I wouldn't say I completely agree with that assessment.
Would you like his jingle?
Yes.
It's a good one.
There's a Sarfaraz keeping in his side. At least he's not an Akmal, 'cause that would blow our minds. There's a Sarfaraz keeping in his side. He's been told not to drop it. Let's hope he is worthwhile. He told me if the batsmen nick it, it will be a wicket. Let all batsmen be close behind.
I wonder whether the wind affected that catch from Wokes, because he seemed to be moving well to his right, then realised it was going to drop short of him and had to come forward at the last minute to grasp it very low. That's first ball of a new over from Wood. It's a short one, signalled as such by the umpire.
Well, Knuckles been zaltzing away here, and it points out that 39 out of 90, 43% of England's post-2015 World Cup ODI innings have been 300 plus, miles ahead of anybody else.
Okay.
So that's the risk and reward there, that you've got to trade off a few 20 for sixes if you're going to get all those 300s.
Wood wide on the crease this time, and Hafiz just has a little prod at that as it goes skidding by.
Mog says, I am returned after a brief absence. What did I miss?
Well, I don't know. How brief was your absence? This is the question. Very good book, that. How brief was your absence? Yeah, I like that from Wood. That was skidding through at some rate. He was a little bit unlucky, and I do think with Wood, that's another thing about him. Apart from the fact that he's injury prone, I think he's also one of these unlucky bowlers. He's in, bowls a short one to Hafiz. Hafiz pulls that and pulls it strongly, and Bairstow is well in from the fence. He's diving away to his right, trying to get that, but can't, and it's 4 runs.
1, 2, 3, 4.
The reason he's an unlucky bowler, I think, Hendo, is that he doesn't move the ball that much. So unless he's yorking you or he's beating you for pace, he's not going to get that ball to go half a bat one way or the other and do a McGrath and caught it first.
But you think from his pace, and he would get a few more wickets. I think that he's one of those guys who doesn't get wickets from bad balls either. I think that's you see certain bowlers who just are able to make things happen. I think Moeen's a little bit like that, and doesn't necessarily have to be bowling brilliantly to pick up wickets. This is a good straight delivery. They're pushing up to mid-off. He's running, and in comes Archer, throws to the striker's end, and out of the ground comes the leg stump, goes flying. That's the second time he's hit from mid-off, Jofra Archer, and the second time that the batsman's been well home. But it does show some great fielding ability.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I'd love to be more positive about Mark Wood, because I think he's a good personality. He's wholehearted and he tries. but there just aren't enough tricks in the locker for me.
Well, I've always thought that he doesn't bowl enough slower balls, especially in this form of the game. You've got to have something else. I don't know if he started to develop one now, but I think there has to be a little bit more than just the raw pace, yes, unless you are absolute express. He's in again, bowls, and the Sarfraz opens the face, prods it wide, backward point. Roy round, he hurls at the striker's end. Morgan is there to back that one up. They've got through for another single.
Now, some listeners may be thinking, well, it didn't harm the West Indies quartet back in the day, to have raw pace. Michael Holding didn't necessarily move the ball much in the air or off the seam. But they were different days, no helmets, not as much body armour. And
hello everyone, and welcome back to Guerrilla Cricket, where we are covering the World Test Championship final between India and New Zealand. India had the best of the morning, picking up 3 New Zealand wickets and bringing themselves back into the game. And we've actually got a match that's reasonably delicately poised at this point. I'm Jack Hope, and I'm joined by Nakul M. Pandey. How are you doing, Nakul?
Yeah, hello Jack. Enthralled by the cricket that we've seen. As I keep saying, when we have seen cricket, it's been very high quality indeed.
And we're with Gary Naylor. Gary, the big question for you, based on the highlights we've been listening to at lunch, is did you ever get round to finishing Game of Thrones?
No, I haven't. I'm afraid I've still got 2 episodes outstanding. I have so many other things that I want to do that even in lockdown I couldn't finish it. So
to be honest, you're not missing much with the last few.
I liked the ending. I liked the ending. Shall we jingle the 2 batters and the 2? Well, we don't know the bowlers yet, but Nako, if you want to guess, go ahead.
We have only 2 from 3, but let's go with the Kiwi batters.
The Kiwi told me long ago, there's no one better than Martin Crow. I know he's really great, but tell me, I wanna know, have you ever seen Kane laying strokes every which way?
7 runs only in the session for Kane Williamson. Stat from Kostab Gudapati. Only 3 players have scored fewer runs batting through a session in Test cricket since the year 2000, and a man who, if he stays in for any length of time, will surely not be scoring so slowly.
I turned to look, but I was gone. I cannot see my own reflection now. My body's gone, my face is gone. Become Colinda Grandall.
I'll just interject if I may. I did watch the last episode of Mad Men, along with the other 91, I think, and it was such a perfect finish that I feel like I need to give a year or 2 more before I attempt to see the closing of a long-running series, because Mad Men's closing scene was the most beautiful and most beautifully judged I could ever imagine a multi-part, multi-season box set concluding upon.
Quite a lot of evidence that the showrunners from Game of Thrones really took their eye off the ball for the last couple of seasons. They were concentrating on getting Star Wars ready, which they then got sacked from.
Well, don't.
I genuinely thought the ending of Game of Thrones was fine. So maybe I'm in the minority, but I thought it resolved absolutely adequately.
The ending last episode was okay. I think the last couple of seasons though, the show kind of ate itself. Anyway,
I think I've spoken before about Star Wars. I went to see it in 1977 or whatever it was when it came out, and I thought, I don't really understand this childish nonsense. And then I went to see it again, various iterations in the 90s, and I thought, I don't really understand this childish nonsense. And then in about 2017 or whatever, I thought I'll give it another go. And I thought, I don't really understand this childish nonsense. So I've never got Star Wars at all.
I've just spotted the identity of the first bowler after lunch, and maybe we can talk about the cricket.
Now then, Marty Bumrah, oh, you're bowling again, aren't you? Oh, I thought as much.
So many changes of bowling and changes of ends for the Indian seamers this morning. Or today.
There have been. He's chopped and changed a lot, hasn't he? But he's only used the 3 pace bowlers all morning, Virat Kohli, the Indian captain. I think the conditions, or bearing in mind the conditions and bearing in mind India's need to attack and get back into the game, that made sense. And it worked, I think, to a reasonable extent as they picked up 3 wickets. As we watched Bumrah just go through the motions, he likes to check his run-up, doesn't he, before he goes live, as it were. And are we doing that thing, or have we just gone past the time? We're doing that thing where we wait until the exact moment.
No, we're past that. We're past that. It's 13 minutes past 2.
So we're just late. Okay. Well.
It's amazing, isn't it? I do think that they start, if they've run overtime on the lunch, they do have to do 40 minutes at lunch, so that may be some mitigation. So often you get session starting at 12 minutes past and so on.
We're ready now as Jasprit Bumrah's in to Colin de Grandhomme, who first ball of the session has lashed a cover drive through, well, extra cover. A beautiful shot, a little bit of a half volley from Bumrah, a little wide of our stump. But that is a signal of intent, I think, from Colin de Grandhomme.
Oh my God, I can't believe it's me and she. It's me and she.
I was talking before lunch about how aggressive Colin de Grandhomme a player is, but even so, yeah, it was a half volley. Bumrah looking for swing. He's not been at his best in this Test match, but yeah, lovely flowing cover drive by de Grandhomme.
I would say there was one half volley hit like that in the whole morning.
As Bumrah comes in again after that, that's a little bit more back of a length, a little bit better directed, and de Grandhomme's in behind the ball, blocking it into the pitch. Bumrah fields and throws back towards the batter, maybe in frustration, maybe because he just wants the ball to go around the field, and heads back to his mark. It is, of course, a dot. Yeah, Gary, good point. I mean, they've scored more than 10% of the runs they did before lunch in one ball there after lunch.
A little bit of swing with the old ball. The old ball has been moving more than the new ball throughout this Test match.
Yep, as Bumrah is in once more. That's back of a length, a little short. De Grandhomme goes for a big heave through square leg, but misses, and it hits his back leg. He looks a bit frustrated, like he might have missed out there. He's clearly decided that he's had enough of watching Kane Williamson nerdle around, or at least he's had enough of New Zealand crawling along de Grandhomme.
Or he thinks that he doesn't, that there's one with his name on it, and he might as well try and score some runs.
Well, there is that too. And he's played 2 aggressive shots anyway in 3 balls after lunch, as Jasprit Bumrah comes in for the 4th ball of his over. As he does his hop, skip and a jump past the umpire and driven back down the ground, or attempted to be driven back down the ground by de Grandhomme. Doesn't get all of it, and it is a dot ball up to mid-off.
90 miles an hour, that from Bumrah, so maybe he's a bit fired up by the aggression at the other end as well.
He's been bowling in the high 80s all Test match. It's just not quite...
86, 87 most of the morning whenever I saw it.
Is he yet to get a wicket, Bumrah, still? Yes, he is. 0 for 46 off his 19.4 overs. Possibly a little bit unlucky, I think, to have returned those figures so far. As he comes in again, that's short, wide off stump, but left alone by de Grandhomme. So it will be another dot ball. Knuckle, I don't know. Right now, just after lunch, I don't think we really had time to talk about it before, because the wicket fell so quickly in that little spell. Where do you see the game at the moment? How delicately poised are we?
I think we're very nicely poised indeed. I think we're in the situation where a quick de Grandhomme 40, although not seeing anything like that in this Test match, could really help New Zealand's cause. But we're also in the game. India taking a lead of 65 or so, or even sort of 50 plus, would give them, would set them up quite nicely.
Boomer's in now. Deep square's gone back, so this might be the short ball. No, it's pitched up, wide of the stump and left well alone by de Granton. So that brings the first over after lunch to a close. New Zealand are 139 for 5, 78 runs behind. Gary.
Brian Barish says, I'm a huge period piece fan and a huge 60s pop culture fan, and Mad Men was perfect from beginning to end. Game of Thrones ending would have been more palatable had the ending not felt rushed and packaged into an amuse-bouche. Lee, fan with a Raspberry Pi, says, I find it actually quite impressive how much of a cultural black hole Game of Thrones has become. The moment the series ended, everybody stopped talking about it, a bit like Lost or
that's absolutely
Avatar.
true. For a show that had the attention of the world for years, no one was binge watching Game of Thrones in lockdown. Oh, change of balance.
Dan Keevy says, I can't pick my favourite jingle between the de Grandon or Rabada. They are both just out of this world excellent. And there's another jingle that you haven't heard for a while coming up very soon.
I might just this might end up soundtracking the whole over. Keep meaning to do this. I'm going to time Jadeja's over. This is presumably with the eye on the fact that the new ball is 7 overs away.
Yeah. Here is Jadeja. First ball is on the money, played back by Kane Williamson for a dot ball. Winviz, by the way, Knuckles, says it's 18% aside at the moment, with the draw taking the other 64%.
That's a bit harsh.
Jadeja comes back in again. He is fast through his overs. That's on Williamson's hip, tucked into the leg side for a single just past the umpire at square leg, off the back foot again. Only being reasonably underutilised, Jadeja maybe, or again, are we looking at a condition?
I think he's not been needed as much. I think the thing about Jadeja is he is such a good batter as a pigeon takes a shit on the outfield. He's such a good lower order batter that his bowling, certainly in the first innings, is almost a bonus.
Here he is again. That's flighted nicely to the Granton, who's in behind and blocks into the leg side.
Certainly, when you've got four bowlers. You know, Ishant has bowled 20, Bumrah's bowled 20, Shami's bowled 18, Ashwin's bowled 12.
Yes. As Jadeja comes in once more, that's a little bit short, a little bit quicker. And de Grandhomme tries to hit it through the leg side, but it doesn't time it too well, so it goes back into the pitch and back to Jadeja. So it will be a dot ball, and Jadeja will loop back round for the next delivery of the over, and that's drifted leg side, played by de Grandhomme out to deep mid-wicket for a single. They touch their bats down. The fielding's not clean from, I think, Ashwin, although my feed's gone a little bit dodgy there, so they consider a two, but think better of it. And is that a no ball? That's a crime against cricket.
Second one he's
bowled. The spinner
bowled.
has bowled a no ball.
Second one he's bowled.
Over the line!
Oh!
I'm sorry, Smokey. You were over the line. That's a foul.
Come to that after this ball.
Don't think it was.
Jadeja is in once more onto the legs of Williamson, who turns it round the corner to a very wide, fine leg for another single. New Zealand, picking up some useful runs off Jadeja's over so far without taking a lot of risk. They'll like this. I mean, as Nakul was saying, if India can get them out for a lead, as Jadeja finishes off with another leg side ball that's played easily to deep backward square for a single by de Grandhomme, then India will fancy their chances of winning. An over that goes for 5 that, probably is brought into the attack to go for 2. Isn't necessarily helping that.
2 minutes,
Gary.
2 minutes 20, by the way.
Wow.
Angelic Scooters has more showrunner news, saying Star Wars, which they got sacked from, and if I recall correctly, pitching a counterfactual if American slavery, supposing the Confederacy had won, which was swiftly and mercifully scuppered. It's almost as if they're overprivileged white dudes or something. And our very own Chris Steely, hello Chris, says, I think he activates Biff mode when somebody bowls to him at 88 miles per hour. That's about the mullet.
Here comes Boomer, that's short. That's wide of the stump, and it's hit really high up in the air by de Grandhomme, and it has plugged just beyond the mid-wicket running back. Ravi Ashwin, not the fastest fielder in the world, couldn't get to it. More intent from de Grandhomme, not amazing timing on that pull shot though. Do we want to get some more tweets in quickly, Gary?
Yeah, Mark Howell says he bowls like Botham at the end of his career with hair like Botham in the middle of his career. That's Colin de Grandhomme.
He's quite a bit tighter, I think, and more economical than Botham was at the end of his career.
Yes, doesn't get as many wickets either. But,
there's
something in that. There's something in it.
We'll come into the mullet. That is on his pads, turned into the leg side for a single. He has been noticeably busier than the other New Zealand players so far, not just in terms of the big attacking shots, but also doing things like that to pick up the easy single. Probably helped by the fact that they've just put the fielders out, so there is the room. But that I suppose is what you get if you play some attacking shots. Knuckle.
Well, yeah, I mean they didn't really push the field back that much, but there is a little bit of a space. You're kind of, if you're in that mid-wicket region, you're not pushing in quite as much because you're thinking there might be a catch on the edge of where the 30-yard circle would be in a limited overs game.
Yes, as there almost was the ball before, in fact, as Boomer is into Williamson now, who continues his vigil by blocking into the leg side for no run, rather.
Sudhanva says, that's the point about Game of Thrones, though. The expectation they set up in the first few seasons meant that a fine or adequate ending was just not enough. Of course, they were also missing George R.R. Martin and William Shakespeare, who pretty much wrote the stuff on which the first 4 or 5 seasons were based upon.
Here comes Jasprit Bumrah again with that jerky run up in and wide off stump, left alone by Kane Williamson. That's a dot ball. Anything else, Gary?
Yes, Mark Howell says this Test match series was a brilliant idea. To play the final in British midsummer was a stupid idea.
Would you have preferred British midwinter?
Yes.
We could, despite having lost 2 days to rain when you count the reserve day, end up with the game coming to not just a natural conclusion but a thrilling one.
Well, you'd think it would be quite close either way, probably, wouldn't you? Or at least 2 results look like they'll be possible going into the final day as Boomer is in and Williamson's well behind it for a dot ball back into the wicket.
I don't know whether anyone's mentioned this, but I think one of the advantages of playing in England is that it almost didn't matter which 2 teams got to the final. They would have been almost certainly guaranteed good support if we weren't in the middle of a pandemic, and you couldn't say that necessarily about any other possible.
Yeah, with the exception of some places in Australia.
Maybe some in Australia, yeah.
Going back to, I'll just hold that as Boomer is into Williamson, wide off stump. Williamson goes for the drive, but a thick inside edge takes it to mid-on for a dot ball. I thought it was one of the great things about the 2019 World Cup was that you go to games and it felt like there was a genuinely partisan crowd.
Yeah, the Bangladesh fans throughout that World Cup, they were amazing. The Afghan fans travelled in numbers everywhere across the country. It was great.
Yes, it was. We've got through a lot of social there, Gary, but I'm going to throw it over to you again in case there is anything left.
Well, there isn't anything at the moment on the Twitter. So at Gorilla Cricket is the handle. Let us know what you think about showrunners. Let us know what you think about Ravindra Jadeja. Let us know what you think about New Zealand.
As Jadeja is in onto the legs of de Grandhomme and stopped by a tumbling Rahane, I think, at mid-wicket. Or was that Virat Kohli? I can't really tell from Pujara, there we are.
Rahane will slip.
There we are. And there will be no run anyway as the result of that. The score, I don't think I read it out at the end of the last over, is 147 for 5. New Zealand's now 70 runs behind. As Jadeja bowls one a little bit wide of a stump, and de Grandhomme check drives to extra cover for a dot ball. He struggled a little bit with line and length so far, Jadeja. Is that him warming up, or is it because the ball's cold, do you think, Knuckle?
Yeah,
his hands are cold.
As
he'll bowl this ball, tossed up and driven back at him by de Grandhomme, but fielded well by Jadeja.
It's been a little bit friendly. He's not quite... he doesn't get as much flight as Ashwin does. I mean, I can sort of see what they're going for. They're trying to get to the new ball. Spinner on, left arm spinner to the 2 right-handers.
He's into de Grandhomme, who plays off the back foot into the pitch for another dot ball. I think he might be his 2-minute 20 score here, Knuckle. He's flown through this over, helped by the fact that 2 or 3 of the balls have been hit straight back to him.
I mean, the no ball slowed him down in the last over.
Yes, exactly. He comes in once more. That's flighted a little bit more, just wide of off stump, probably half volley length, but de Grandhomme doesn't make the most of it, hits it straight back to Jadeja again. And I wish you timed this one. This could be the fastest over in the history of Test cricket, as it is delivered. It is blocked by de Grandhomme, fielded by mid-on. So that's the over bowled.
That can't have been more than about 90 seconds. Although somebody did actually, because this is how bored people got watching the rain yesterday. Somebody did tweet in the fastest recorded over in Test cricket was 30 seconds.
Wow. How? When?
Way back when. I can't remember exactly, but it was a guy with no run-up.
Who just called it after 4 deliveries. Lee, fan with the Raspberry Pi, as well. I am absolutely convinced that Jadeja smells like sex and candy, thanks to his jingle.
Yes, I mean that's temporarily thrown. I wonder what he does smell like. Probably not that. Sweat, I'd imagine at the moment. As Bumrah is in to Williamson, who blocks again. It's been a very, very watchful innings for Williamson, who's on 21 of 120 balls.
I think Colin de Grandhomme smells like conditioner and hairspray.
Yeah, I was going to say that Jadeja smells like male grooming products.
Oh no, Jadeja definitely smells like beard oil.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I think out and about, yes, I can.
Some sort of sandalwood or something.
I can definitely imagine that. As we will see Bumrah come again for the second ball of his 22nd over of this Test match, past the umpire and in, back of a length and blocked again from Williamson. If nothing else, it has been a very impressive display of defensive technique from Williamson, although it's not yet clear what this innings will accomplish. I mean, I think I'd be generous to him. I think it was very difficult to bat this morning. 35 for 3 or whatever they ended up with over the session could easily have been 40 for 6.
I think it's a measure of the conditions, and also, you know, when India weren't making breakthroughs, how well they bowled, but even Kane Williamson wasn't able to find singles.
Yes, that is true. A great straight rotator he is, as Bumrah's in, and blocked again from Bumrah.
I don't think it could easily have been 40 for 6. There was not a chance missed. There was not a DRS. There was not a call made. I mean, it was difficult, but I don't think it was that difficult.
I think the point Jack's trying to make is it could have been maybe not 40 for 6, but it could have been a clatter of wickets if New Zealand had gone for their strokes a bit more.
Well, there was lots on offer that they didn't take.
Yeah, well, in comes Bumrah, back of a length to Williamson, who gets in behind and blocks. I think that also possibly takes a little bit of the agency out of the hands of the Indian bowlers, who were very good at hitting a good length through that session. I think Crickford sent a tweet up, just Gary, to finish my point, and it showed that the run rate when the ball has been pitched full or pitched short is over 3 and over in this test. When it's on a good length, it's 1, and that kind of gives you an indication of where they must have been bowling just by simple arithmetic, basically.
We also saw that the wicket balls were a little bit fuller, so they kind of once they'd almost set themselves up and then attacked a bit more after drinks.
As we'll see, Jasprit Bumrah in once more and blocked by Williamson, who gets it past Gully for a single. No, they're going to come back for 2 as the ball's winged in to Pant on the half volley. We didn't see a lot of that from Williamson. I'm probably 70% in favour of what Williamson and Taylor did this morning, Gary, and 30% appreciative of your point that maybe they could have got a few more runs or scored a little bit more freely from some of the looser leg side deliveries.
I mean, I think Knuckles' point about bowling well after the drinks break, I think they bowled very well in the second hour this morning. I don't think they bowled particularly well in the first hour.
Bumrah comes in past the umpire, short and blocked by Williamson again for a dot ball. I think that's a question of length. I think they bowled well for most of the session, to be honest, but maybe slightly more threateningly in terms of taking that risk by pitching it up towards lunch.
I think what you can say is when they weren't creating chances, they weren't letting New Zealand get away. Or New Zealand thought they couldn't get away, which is kind of half the battle. 149 for 5.
Yeah, but not getting away in these conditions in the match is a pretty low bar. But some reason why Jadeja's bowling. Ravindra Jadeja has dismissed Colin de Grandhomme 4 times in 19 balls in all cricket. Thanks to Armchair Cricket Podcast for that.
He's into de Grandhomme again, and there was a big gap between bat and pad, and it wasn't out the middle of the bat from de Grandhomme, but he's forced it down to mid-on, so he's got himself off strike, and if that is the plan, which it may well be, he isn't going to get an over of deliveries to de Grandhomme here, as he's managed to get up to the other end at the first time of asking. As we actually do see his career versus left arm orthodox averages 31 at a strike rate of 54, so not awful for your number 7, to be honest. I think most teams would take that as a split. And Williamson comes down the pitch to this delivery from Jadeja, but just to block it, maybe to make it a little bit.
His overall average is 37, so it's a bit worse than his career average. It's interesting field. There's sort of a slip because of catching straight mid-wicket, and even the regular mid-wicket is almost in a catching position.
As Jadeja's in, that's short and wide, and Williamson has, I thought he cut that into the keeper's gloves. His head rocked back in disappointment, but I think he was actually just a little bit sad that he missed out on a little bit of a half tracker, or a little bit of a short one, as he's not walking off, he's not out, just for clarity. What do you think there, Knackle? Mr. Freebie?
Maybe just not quite far enough outside off stump for him to cut. It did bounce a little bit.
Jadeja in once more, this one straighter, a little bit flatter, and clipped to the short mid-wicket fielder by Williamson.
Jadeja's not trying to do anything other than get through these overs quickly.
No, and that is reasonably noticeable. It's quite flat, it's quite accurate. It's another one comes through that is a little bit short, a little bit wide off stump, cut by Williamson, and they run through for a quick single. Good running there from New Zealand, because I think that could have been reasonably tight if there'd been any hesitation.
Gill had to dive low to his right, so wasn't able to get up and get the throw away quick enough. It's a good stop again. India, the fielding in this Test match, I know Southey dropped a catch, but the fielding's been excellent from both sides.
It has. That one's quicker from Jadeja on de Grandhomme's pads, forced to mid-wicket. Nearly gets past the man there, Pujara, but it's stopped, and he'll pick it up, shine it on his legs. That's the end of the over. How is Social looking, Gary?
Well, Sudhanva says, came here for the commentary, stayed for discussion on how these guys smell. And Alexia of Azazel says, I love it when you call me de Grandhomme. Throw your hands in the air if you're a true player. Not quite sure what that means. You usually throw your hands in the air like you don't care. But that's a different thing altogether.
He really does stir something among cricket fans, doesn't he, de Grandhomme?
There's something elemental about him. It's a little bit like when rugby fans, if you're a rugby union fan of the mid-2000s, the French player Sébastien Chabal.
Chabal, yeah. It's a throwback to an era that may never have existed. Bumrah in to Williamson, blocked into the leg side, where it will be fielded by the mid-on fielder for a dot ball.
Do you think this is a sign that rather than we saw Ishant Sharma and Jasprit Bumrah take the first new ball? Do you think this is a sign that it's Ishant Sharma and Mohammad Shami with the second?
Ooh, I think so.
Well, yes, it would be a good 10-over spell if they keep Bumrah on, wouldn't it? Because we're into the 79th over now, so it will be just this one from Bumrah, then Jadeja. So you'd think this is probably Jadeja's lot for the next 45 minutes, hour or so, as he's in once more to Williamson, just wide of off stump, blocked to point by the New Zealand skipper for a dot ball.
Just getting he's got a little bit of in-swing with the old ball. Nothing dramatic. We've certainly seen Ishant Sharma swinging the ball today. Bumrah has bowled. He hasn't bowled brilliantly, but he's not bowled badly either. It's been sort of a 6.5 out of 10 bowling spell.
I think that's a pretty good assessment as he comes in once more to Williamson. Past the umpire, arms whirling away. That's pretty straight. Williamson looks at the pitch like that might have kept a little bit low. Anyway, he blocks it fairly safely, and it is a dot ball. The score, incidentally, or well, not incidentally, importantly, is 151 for 5. New Zealand are 66 runs behind now with the new ball approaching.
It's been a matter of, Southey and Bumrah have probably bowled the worst of any of the bowlers. Southey and both of them went to under 3 and over.
Yeah, I wonder what it is with Bumrah. Is his pace slightly down? I mean, he comes in once more. That's on a length and blocked by Williamson. He's been very hard to get away. He's bowled a lot of balls that look a lot like that. Not particularly dangerous, but very, very difficult to score runs off. But I'm used to seeing him hurry batters and blast through them, basically, Knuckle.
Yes, I mean, it's one of those classic cases, you set expectations. It'll be a little bit like when that spell at Lords where Kyle Jamieson wasn't getting wickets, everyone starts, kind of being a bit confused.
Shouting fraud, Kyle Frauderson. As Bumrah is in for the 4th ball of his 23rd over. A little bit fuller, played by Williamson without a lot of foot movement, pushed to mid-off for no run, so 5 dots to begin.
I know what you mean about hurrying the batter though, and we've seen it with Mohammad Shami, Bumrah also has that ability, like Jofra Archer, say, has that ability to get, because he has that amazing wrist flick at the end of his action, to get the ball to sort of hit the pitch hard and hit the splice hard and seemingly hurry off the surface.
Yes, his release point as well is about 30 centimetres further forward.
Oh, it's like half a metre further forward from the crease.
And he comes in, played very late by Williamson, into the pitch. Dot ball, that's a maiden from Bumrah, who has figures of 51 for no wicket. Over to Gary.
On Bumrah, Lee, fan with the Raspberry Pi, says, you know what I want? Another Bumrah Test hat-trick. And I want it right effing now! I think Bumrah should have bowled a few more bounces, or at least tried to get up into the armpit. He's been a little bit predictable. Neil Dodunsky says, right OGC, how about a shout out to Jezza P. Stein, El Presidente, English Cricket Club of Saigon, doing it tough through lockdown, but smiling. The dude NZ. Well, I hope that makes sense to you, but there was the shout out.
Jadeja has bowled a ball mid-shout out. It's been blocked by de Grandhomme. There was no run. And this is the last over, I think, probably of our little spell together. And the last over before the new ball. And that drifts into de Grandhomme's pads. It's flicked up in the air. I'm not sure if it took any bat. It's gone down to wide square leg for a run. There's no signal from the umpire, so I'm assuming it did. Not a lot of excitement.
I like Rishabh Pant flying after that, as though he had any hope of getting near it.
There are two Kiwi substitutes in towels sitting on their balcony.
I don't think it's that woman. Jaz Patel and I think that's Will Young, the other one.
I think so, yeah. They do look cold as Jadeja's into Kane Williamson. That's wide off the stump and steered to the kind of fine point fielder, the backward point fielder, Shubman Gill, who gets around nicely to prevent any run.
Shubman Gill wearing a limited overs baseball cap. Presumably he has a test cap somewhere.
I did notice that. And I was sort of wondering why that may have been, but we'll break off there as Jadeja's in just back of off stump, forced to Shubman Gill at backward point by Williamson for another dot ball. It doesn't look official. It looks like he's been called in as a last minute ringer.
Yeah, it's strange. This is his, 6th or 7th test match?
Yeah, he'd have played the 4 against England, a couple in Australia. Jadeja's in, played off the back foot by Williamson for a dot ball. He is very good at that, Williamson, playing balls that look a bit too full off the back foot, but giving himself enough time to negotiate them safely.
It's a very Joe Root method against the spinners.
It is the Joe Root method of playing spin, which is effective if you can master it. It's on the front foot to that one though, turning it into the leg side to mid-on for another dot ball. 24 of 139 for Williamson now, 152 for 5 at the end of our spell. New Zealand trail by 65. We welcome Nigel and Fred to the virtual commentary booth.
Final word from me, that Jadeja over, 1 minute 50.
Okay, thank you very much for that, chaps. I haven't seen a lot of this. I've been away from a TV screen, which is always slightly annoying. But it's been attritional, I'm guessing. New Zealand have added 50 runs in how many overs now have we had today? Well, the second new ball has become available, let's put it that way, and it's being waved around by Richard Illingworth to the scorers so that they know, and it's going to be handed to none other than Mohammad Shami.
He's coming down fast and moving it too.
tell me the answer. He may be a bowler, but he's often injured. Look out, Muhammad Shami. Muhammad Shami. Muhammad Shami.
Not necessarily knocking this, but this is these are scoring rates that hark back to the golden ages of Test cricket, if indeed there were golden ages. Mohammad Shami has the ball in his hand. He's going to be bowling to Colin de Grandhomme, 11 not out. Got 3 slips in the gully. He aims a drive at a ball that swings away. And Mohammad Shami is holding his hands in the air as if he thought he might have got an edge, but he didn't. And it goes through the keeper. Fred, welcome
Hello.
back. Hello.
It's been a long time, Hendo.
It's been at least since Thursday, Friday?
I think it's, since day 12, I think we haven't been on together.
In the timeless test here in Southampton. I wish it was timeless, because then it could go to a conclusion, although it might be quite dull. It might be quite a dull conclusion if you had endless time.
I used to think that I'd like a return to timeless test matches, but I don't anymore.
No.
In fact, I'm quite against the idea.
Well, it's difficult to plan ahead, isn't it? Onto the back foot goes de Grandhomme, tries to run it down to third man, beats the diving gully in doing so, and will get a single. He'll move to 12 from 28. Williamson, now, Statties out there, or Statos out there, has Williamson played a slower test innings? Have we been looking at that?
Well, I haven't.
You haven't played it. You haven't been looking at it, or you haven't.
No,
played
I haven't been looking at it. No.
You haven't played a slower test innings at all.
Just trying to think.
1968.
Yeah, it's that time with Trevor Bailey.
Yeah, you and Trev.
4 days for 12 runs.
Shami in again. This time to Williamson, who gets a glance onto this. That will be moving his scoring rate along a little bit. No, it won't, because it's leg byes. So it does go for 4, but it's not to Williamson.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Now did Shami get the breakthrough this morning, or was it Ishant Sharma? I think Shami took a couple of wickets, didn't he?
Shami bowled Nichols.
Mm-hmm.
Watling was... Something happened to Watling.
He was bowled.
He was bowled, okay. Outside the off stump, left alone by Williamson. It's really gripping you, this test match.
Another bloke was out as well. It was all happening.
Yeah, I can see.
I'm struggling a bit. I've been off air for quite a while. I'm not really timing my interventions. I haven't been crisply driving those metaphors through the covers. It's not working today. I've just got to get back in the nets.
Shami got Ross Taylor caught at short cover, basically.
Oh, short cover.
Short extra cover.
Shami in again, outside the off stump, and this time Williamson does decide to play a very attacking shot. Doesn't necessarily get hold of it that well, but gets it away over gully, and it will bring him 4 runs. So there we are. And it's woken up a couple of Kiwis in the crowd, including a couple of deep sea divers, who now
you'd struggle to be deep sea diving in a little scuba tube. I don't think you'd last very long.
I think it probably is the right place for divers, though. Southampton this week, probably anywhere in the south would be, to be honest. Williamson moves on to 28 from 142 balls. Is this now the moment when he's going to take this match by the scruff of the neck? Him and Colin de Grandhomme. Let's see, they trail by 56 now, as Shami is in again, and full length ball which swings away, but only after it's gone past Williamson, and that is the end of the first over with the new ball. 161 for 5. Which of you two fellows is doing socials?
I am on social media, where we have Leah, who's tweeted a question into us, asking why should he aim for the armpits if he can aim for the reproductive organs? A question for the ages there.
Well, I mean, the reproductive organs ought to be well protected. I mean, if you remember our good friend Stephen Crook, who played for Northamptonshire, he used to wear 2 boxes, so it seemed like a bit pointless to aim at his junk. I don't know whether many players do that. Anyway, Ishant Sharma is going to take the new ball.
Ishant Sharma's gonna get you, gonna look you right in the face.
Better get yourself together, darling. Learn how to play pace. How in the world you gonna see? Netting against trundlers like
Here comes Ishant into Grondu, who pulls immediately from outside off stump. Jadeja, brilliant fielder out in the deep, is round there, scrambling round, so that even though it was well hit, he's still only going to get a single for it. They've got the right man out there for that shot, I would suggest. But is this just a sign of New Zealand wanting to get on with it a little bit?
No, I think it's just de Grandhomme. It's what he does. He's not going to prod around. He's a player who likes to play his shots. And
isn't there a famous Botham's Ashes test where he blocked out for about 3 days and then teed off when the new ball came along?
Ooh, maybe we're thinking about the Old Trafford test. Are we talking about the Old Trafford test?
Not the Headingley
one. Yeah, it might have been Old Trafford. Yeah.
No, the Headingley,
Ishant outside the off stump and punched by Williamson. There's a ring of 3 on the offside, so they won't get through for a single. Sorry, what were you going to say, Fred?
I don't think so. I think the Old Trafford one was pretty quick, actually. It may not have been quick all the way through, but I spent much of that summer in the Highlands of Scotland, when it was quite difficult to pick up Radio 3, short of leaning out of a car window and holding in somebody's legs and seeing whether they could pick something up amongst the static. And I remember somebody saying, I think I heard the name Allett, and we said, no, well, that's not right. Allett wouldn't be playing a test match, but he actually was.
Paul Allett, yeah. Very popular man at Lancashire, not seemingly. 2 slips in the gully for Ishant coming into Williamson. Now gets a little bit of swing. He swings down the leg side in the end. He can't get bat on it as it rather grubs through to the wicket keeper, and there is no run.
I think that's the one thing India have struggled with the ball so far, is that in-swinger. It's none of them have been particularly dangerous. They've all drifted down the leg side.
When you're getting the swing, he's getting the line slightly wrong so that it's going down the leg side.
Yeah, I think so. They've threatened the outside edge of the bat a few times, but because this in-swing has never really been right from any of the Indians, they've found it quite hard to set New Zealand batters up, I think.
Okay. Just saw a sight of Ross Taylor in hoodie, looking very chilly indeed. Is there a hint of sunshine coming through? I think there is. Ishant, wide of the off stump, just jags back a little bit, but Williamson is in position to play that off the back foot. Into the covers, and there is no run. 28 to Williamson, 13 to de Grandhomme. I saw people talking about, I don't know when it was, maybe it was on County Cricket Matters Facebook page or something, about where various people were when that famous Headingley 81 test took place. It might have been in the Cricketer, to be honest. It might have been some ex-politician talking about it. But I was in Cornwall, and I was on holiday with a couple of mates, and in those days, of course, I'll come back to it, Ishant in once more to Williamson. Williamson leaves extravagantly outside the off stump. In those days, of course, on the BBC coverage, if the game was over, they wouldn't put any highlights on. They'd just put up a little notice saying game over, or words to that effect, but telling you a little bit about it. Walked past this shop in Loo, having not heard anything for about a day, presumed that England had lost when I saw this sign in the TV shop, and then of course found out later that England had won. I thought they must have been stuffed, but crazily England had won. The great Bob Willis, rest his soul. I can't believe Bob Willis has gone, really. I thought he'd be around forever. Ishant in, and again Williamson just at the last minute takes bat out of the way of ball, and through the keeper it goes, no run. Any tweets?
We've got Sandeep and Sadiq over on YouTube. Remember to hit like and subscribe there to help us with the algorithm. That's the key thing to do. Elixir of Azazel asks, was Jadeja a wrong selection here, given how little he has bowled and how ineffective he's been so far? I don't think so. I think he's definitely in India's best 11. The old fart was smart. Can't find a telly remote after last night. Who cares? It's the best cricket on any medium, apart from drawings, paintings like Bob Dylan's Subterranean Homesick Blues. Merchant Engineer, can't we have the second new ball jingle?
I expect we can. Shami goes a little bit wide on the crease, hit him on the pad. It's got to be worth a shout. It's been given out by Richard Illingworth. Unless he got a little inside edge on that, I think he's done and dusted, I'm afraid to say. Didn't really move. It jagged back in. The angle was always coming back into the stumps, and Kane Williamson has more or less told him as much. Says, on your bike, son. Sorry, mate. You've got to go. He's gone for 13 LBW to Shami. Shami has another wicket.
Only question is whether he was outside off stump there.
Yes.
You think he was?
Well, he might have been umpire's call, in which case he wouldn't have lost a review. So it probably would have been worth reviewing.
How many reviews have they got left?
3. They've got 5 wickets left and 3 in the bank.
Oh, they've got all 3 in the bank. Well, you'd have thought it might have been worth it then, mightn't you? Yeah, absolutely.
Well, maybe they can sell some to India at the end of the innings.
Or for a few runs. Look, you can have an extra life.
Maybe Williamson thought the umpire would review it for him again.
What happened? Did I miss something earlier?
Earlier in the match.
Earlier in the match.
There was a little bit of a controversial one with Kohli, who may have, or didn't get one down the leg side. Was given sort of out, but not out. I think it was more of a TV director's sequence of camera shots rather than anything that made it a bit confusing.
Well, we did have Kohli bowled against England in India, and almost badgered the umpire into reviewing it.
He did, yes, he did. He was so shocked to be. Who was it who got him out? Was it Dominic Bess or was it Joe Root? Or was it Moeen Ali? It was Moeen Ali in that one test, wasn't it, when he came back in? So that was probably the second test of the 4, I think. New batsman at the crease is Kyle Jamieson.
And that's the story of how Kyle Jamieson became a man.
And immediately launches into an extravagant drive, slightly on the up, hits it into the ground and then up into the hands of the man at extra cover. We're looking again, impact umpire's call, hitting, so it was
he wouldn't have lost a review.
Even on impact he wouldn't lose a review.
I'm pretty sure if it's any part of its umpire's call, he doesn't lose a review. So
it was back pad. I think those are always liable to be out. He hadn't really moved at all. He hadn't really moved back, hadn't really moved forward. Shami in again, a little bit of away movement on this occasion, and Jamieson decides to leave. So where do we go from here, chaps? Is this time for New Zealand to try and get a few quick runs, maybe against a new ball with the ball coming off the bat quicker than it does as it gets softer? Or are they just going to sort of bat it out until they're ground out by India?
I think Williamson is going to just keep batting as long as possible. The batsmen down this end of the New Zealand order tend to be hitters, or tend to prefer putting bat to ball, and I think they probably will.
Now that's gone a mile off the pitch. That really did go like a leg break, but it started a little bit wide and was left alone. Well read, I guess, by Jamieson, and it's through to the keeper. I'd love to see that one again. That jagged away, didn't it?
That was a leg break.
It pretty much was at 85 miles an hour. So pretty good. If you can bowl leg breaks at 85 miles an hour, then you're not doing too badly.
But any team that gets a 25 or more run lead can be significant in a game, in a low-scoring game like this.
Do New Zealand think they can still win this though? This is driven on the up. A lovely shot from Jamieson, beats Shami as he tries to stoop, and Ashwin is chasing after it. He may catch up with it because we've seen this a lot, that the outfield has ensured what would have been boundaries don't quite run there, and they do get back for a third. He was helped by Shubman Gill in the end, and New Zealand move on to 165 for 6. It does look as if if Jamieson has come out with a slightly more attacking mindset. The thing is though, you don't really want Williamson to be 40 not out, do you, at the end of this game?
He's got the capability of upping the scoring rate, if there are 7, 8, 9 down, and he's still there, obviously. But I think, if somebody scores 35 at the other end, Jamieson or Southey or whoever it is, and he's still batting, that could be huge for New Zealand.
Could be Shami in, bowls to Williamson. It's rising a little bit on him, but dead straight just works it into the onside towards mid-wicket. And there is no run. The win predictor is saying India 15%, New Zealand 19%, which means the draw is 66%. And I think that's probably about right at the moment anyway. More tweets.
Tie? What about the tie?
Oh, sorry, all right, yeah, the tie.
Alexa of Azazel, speaking of deep-sea divers, why do scuba divers dive backwards from their boats? Because if they dove forwards, they'd fall back into the boat.
Yay! Boom, boom.
Warren, juggling cricket. Oh, hi Warren. He's juggling cricket and puppy training. Dan Diapers sent us a tweet of Ravi Jadeja bowling. Paul Howarth,
Grubby,
has said low-scoring thrillers, the very best test cricket. And Imtiaz has said hello over on YouTube. So I think we're pretty much up to date on.
I think high scoring thrillers in which a team gets 408 to win in the fourth innings. That's my favourite form of Test cricket. But that's I don't know. They both have their arguments for them. Ishant starts a new over and it's dragged into the onside by Jamieson. He shapes to drive. He's going to get a couple, I would think, as Jadeja hurries round. Probably only takes about 5 steps from Kyle Jamieson to complete a run. So he's back for the second.
As he was playing that shot, I thought he was bold, because it came back into him and he got the inside bit of the bat on it, but it turned the bat round in his hands, and I thought that had got between bat and pad.
Yeah, it wasn't a case of him deliberately hitting it there, was it? It was forced by the bowler in a sense, or his lack of technique to some extent. He's now just checking something is right with his gloves, and he's facing Ishant Sharma again. Ishant 2 for 30. He's into his 22nd over, and here he is again into Jamieson. Jamieson launches at that. Again, doesn't time it terribly well. It's going to get him a couple past mid-off, but he's certainly come out there in the sort of Brendan McCullum approach, and is going to throw the bat at the ball a little bit. I'm not sure this is a great pitch for doing that, but it's going to be a little bit more entertaining than perhaps some of the cricket we've seen today. So the score moves on to 169 for 6, and New Zealand have just gone up above 2 and over.
Well, the point you were making earlier, Hendo, about you prefer a high-scoring chase, but when low-scoring games, every run, every leg by, every misfield, they all seem to have heightened tension about them because every run is important.
You get that too, though, not Fred. In later in the 400 chase, it's like a big chase plus a low-scoring chase, all wrapped into one.
It's true if wickets have fallen, but if they haven't, it
can be a formality.
Here is Ishant again to Jamieson. Jamieson goes for an enormous drive and completely misses it. It's a swing and a miss, and it loops through to Rishabh Pant. But certainly he's playing a shotter ball at the moment. And he's trying to get New Zealand up within range of India. They're now 48 runs adrift with 4 wickets in hand.
Yes, the Sun twins, that's Jamieson and Williamson, they're not identical twins by any means, and they're playing very differently, it has to be said.
Tell you what, if you gave birth to those two at the same time, even not at the same time, you'd be quite shocked, wouldn't you? If they were even just brothers, you'd be amazed. Anyway, Ishant pauses at the top of his run again, and he's on his way. Just 2 slips, no gully now for Jamieson, going a little bit on the defensive. He goes wider, and he carts this again into the offside. A lot of bottom hand in that, and once more, I think it's Shubman Gill who's after it. They might even turn for the third. No, Williamson says no, as the throw comes into the bowler's end, and that takes New Zealand on to 171 for 6. We just seem to have changed games, chaps. Anyone explain this, really?
I think Jameson's really bored. He's been watching the same stuff as us for the last 4 days, and he's thinking, surely it cannot be this difficult.
He's playing a lot of table tennis from the pictures we've seen.
Oh yes, we just saw a picture of him playing table tennis, didn't we? Yeah.
This ball's massive. It's so easy.
Yeah. What's the matter with you? What's wrong with you people? We're 80 overs for 160, and I'm 9 off 8. What's going on? We've got men back. We've got a man at sort of mid-wicket, halfway to the fence. That's a strange position.
Well, it is making the Indians think. It's making Kohli think about what to do with his fielders, and he's going to take out some close catches, which does help the batting side. But on the other hand, you do sense that there's a ball with Jameson's name on it around the corner.
You do indeed. He's not exactly hitting it where he's intending. Sharma in again, and he opens up his front leg, and then ends up driving straighter than you would expect. And once more, it's the mid-off who has to do the retrieving, and once more, they get through for 2 runs. I think it's Jasprit Bumrah on this occasion, wearing a lovely Indian cap, and they get through for a couple. 173 for 6.
This is Jameson's play like a genuine number 11 would play in this situation. I think he's substantially better than this. It's kind of a little bit perplexing.
Well, he hasn't timed one yet, has he?
No, not a single one.
The first one on the up wasn't bad, but he hasn't timed anything in this over. But however, he has picked up 8 runs with 1 ball to go. So let's see how long this can continue. It's quite good fun at the moment, and the sun is out. The sun is out, possibly for the first time in this test match. Ishant Sharma in again. Again, he clears his front leg and he just smears this into cow corner. It's being chased by Jadeja, who ultimately slides and pulls it back. But they've got through for the 5th 2 of the over. New Zealand have scored 10 runs. Jameson has scored 10 runs. He's gone to 13 from 10. And New Zealand now are just 42 runs behind on 175 for 6.
He's 13 off 10, and Williamson is 28 off 149.
I love this. I love it. I want Jameson to go past Williamson.
In 15 balls.
That'd be fantastic. Yes. But what best batsman in the world, Kane Williamson. Anyway,
Jeff Perkins.
You've just lost us 12 million Indian listeners there, Hendo. Well done. One of the best batsmen in the world, I think he is.
Jeff Perkins has said New Zealand just want to take this to a super over. Elixir of Azazel. Which batsman and bowler duo to have faced each other would have the largest sum if you added their heights? Jameson v Ishant seems a good contender. Certainly could be up there, couldn't it?
Would literally be up there.
Paul says the value of a giant, number 8.
Oh, yes.
An Armchair Cricket podcast saying it's clear that New Zealand lower order have a mandate to score as quickly as possible and reduce the lead and the hold India have on the final. With a newish ball, it's a double-edged sword of an approach, but no doubt Jameson and Southee will back themselves. I don't know if India have really got a hold on this. I think even if New Zealand scored no more runs, it would be still fairly in the balance, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, you get to that situation, it would be a very difficult declaration for India to judge, I think. Shami into Williamson. I think I'll get a run. I'll get 2, in fact. I'll put it behind square leg. 2s are the new 3s. They're the new 4s. We're dealing only in couples at the moment, and indeed they have got back for a second. Williamson's getting worried that Jameson might catch him up, so he clips that away and goes to 30 not out from 150. Now, what's that? 30s into 150 go 5. So he's going at 20 runs per 100 balls.
That's top quality mental arithmetic there, Hendo.
I thought so.
Made easier for you by the round numbers. But has he ever faced that many balls and only hit 3 boundaries? I find that very hard to believe.
Seems unlikely, doesn't it? Shami in again and flicks him again past square leg. Square leg says, I'm not going after that again. So he signals to the man at long leg, that's your ball. I think it's Ishant Sharma who's just finished an over when he's been hit for loads of 2s, who does the fielding, and Williamson goes to 32. Suddenly 179 for 6, and all that exertion means that Kane Williamson now needs a drink. He's vigorously signalling to the...
I don't blame him. He's done nothing for 6 hours, and now he's just run 1, 2, 3,
7
4, 5,
twos.
6. He's run 12 runs in the space of 10 balls.
And the sun has come out, so he must be absolutely sweating his head off. So Shami again, he's gone for 2 2s from 2 balls. He's in again, and this is defended. That's very boring from Williamson. He's broken the run of 2s, just dropped this down behind on the offside, and there is no run. There is no run, I tell you, for the first time in ages.
Another thing about low-scoring close test matches is that every session is a crucial session, and it really is, because 20 runs here or there or 2 wickets can make a massive difference to the game, whereas high-scoring games, not so much. You're just wrong, Hendo.
They just do like to see some nice strokes, though. Some nice stroke play. Although that said, of course, when it's on a difficult pitch, it's worth more in a sense. Is he playing at that one? He has, and a little bit of away movement from Shami ends up in the hands of Rishabh Pant with his head in the air, as if to say that was pretty darn close. Williamson goes for a little walk down the pitch, meets Kale Jameson, who's taken Kale Jameson. He meets Kyle Jameson in the middle,
Kyle
which
Giantson.
means that Giantson has only had to take one step, whereas Kane Williamson has taken about 15. Anyway, 179 for 6 is the score. Shami into a 21st over is in again. Oh, what a ball that is! That's got to be LBW, hasn't it? Ooh. Well, Richard Illingworth says no. He really hadn't moved. He was trying to just lay that ball down, I think, through the slit.
Oh, and Coley is so convinced of the review. He's done it with 9 seconds left.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say. I don't think he got outside off stump. It was quite low.
Was there an edge?
That could be the only thing that's saving him, but certainly India seem pretty confident. Although now they've come into the huddle, they're not really huddling. And when they're not huddling, that doesn't suggest that they're incredibly confident. Let's have another look at this. As doesn't get outside off stump, does he?
Oh, it's beaten the outside edge of the bat.
It's going to be
and hit the outside of the back pad.
I think that's very similar to the one that Jameson got Sibley in the first innings at Law.
If it's umpire's call, it's not going to be given out, is it?
I still think that is hitting enough of off stump. But we shall see. And it'd be a shame, just as Williamson's getting a move on, if he gets out.
They may be correlated, Hender.
Could be that, couldn't it? Yes. Although that said, he was only playing a defensive shot there. He wasn't taking any liberties.
We're not seeing any of the technology. The camera's just on Coley. It's the ICC that's providing these pictures.
Here we go. We're looking for an outside edge. Is there something there? I suppose you could argue it's a little bit high. It's the back pad, but it's quite high. It's above the knee roll, but so it's about a foot inside the crease as well. I don't know with those ones. You sometimes see that, and you think there's a little bit of something on there.
But there's movement. There's something on the ultra edge at various times where the ball's nowhere near the bat.
Yes, this is the problem, isn't it?
Like
this is the problem. Yeah, exactly. About a foot in front of him. Yeah. There's all sorts of things going on, and
noise.
Yeah, I don't know, but I think
he's probably still outside the line there, though, isn't he? Half the ball.
It's on the crease line where it's hitting. They obviously don't think he's hit it. Is it hitting enough of the? No, it's umpire's call on impact. So it's going to remain not out.
Well, in that case, it's an absolutely brilliant decision from Richard Illingworth. I think it would be good credit for that.
He could just as easily have given that out.
Yeah, but he didn't, and it's give him credit, man. Give him credit.
Well, whatever would have happened, had he given it out, you would have given him credit, and had he given it not out, you would have given him credit.
I don't know. I think 2 umpires' calls suggest that there's enough doubt there that it probably the right, the morally in the cricketing universe. That for me feels like the
what
right
about
decision.
the umpire's call on pitching as well? If it had been a left-arm bowler, he could have had 3 umpires called.
And there was, you know what? There were some rumblings when that went past the bat, so that's almost an umpire's call as well.
Well, Williamson survived. Got 1 ball remaining in the over, and Shami is bustling in once more, and this time another straight-ish ball, but it's defended by Williamson up to mid-on. He's going to go and get his drink. It's going to be about a time for a change, isn't it? Yes, it is. I think though most of us are staying in much the same position.
Time for change, the oldest political slogan of them all.
So Fred, you're doing ball by ball, are you not?
Am I? Well, let's hope it's better than my last spell.
Yeah, let's hope so. I didn't hear it, but I'm sure it was terrible.
I was all over the place, mate. I hold my hand up. I didn't give 110%. Tony's back. Hello, Tony.
I am indeed. Hello, Fred.
Played by Dickie Attenborough.
Apparently.
And New Zealand had scored 27 runs off 25 balls a few balls ago after scoring 152 off the previous 480. So do the maths there and find out that it's been a remarkable change since Jameson has come in, but I think that LBW appeal is going to slightly slow Williamson, and he's going to sort of go back into his shell a little bit. I doubt Jameson is, as we're having a drinks break. You're not missing any play. Tony, can you bring us up to date on what people are saying?
I can, if I can just find where to start.
Well, I'll tell you where to start. You should start at
Paul's message about Jameson's scoring rate.
Yes.
You know, I saw that, but I can't actually find it.
Oh dear. It's 3 minutes ago.
3 minutes ago, righto. Oh, Paul, yes, this Paul. Thorpe's ton in a low-scoring thriller in Barbados, 2004, was a thing of beauty.
No, you haven't gone back far enough.
I haven't gone back far enough.
No, that was only 1 minute ago.
Jameson will soon be scoring 10 times faster than Williamson.
Yay! That's the one. You've tracked it down. Well done, Tony.
We did track it down. Philip Chapman said 5 twos in an over, I would need to be stretchered off. If it was at the non-strikers end, I would be having serious words. Leah says, surely blessing Muzarabani bowling to Jameson has to be among the tallest jewels in cricket.
Has that happened yet, though? Has that happened?
Blessing
Zimbabwe, New Zealand? I don't think so yet.
I don't think so. No. Sudhanva says, you lads might need a new jingle for doubles at this rate. Elixir of Azazel says, so many twos. New Zealand are paying a tribute to former player Roger Twos.
Hey!
Good. Yeah. Paul Howard, who's already said once, but he's going to say it again. Thorpe's ton in a low-scoring thriller in Barbados 2004 was a thing of beauty.
I've heard that before. But
yes, it is. And Gary Naylor says, saw Dickie Attenborough a couple of nights ago in 10 Rillington Place. Dickie Attenborough saw me and ran across the road. No, it doesn't say that. The best English acting performance in film history, apparently.
He's very good as you, Tony. Hendo, if you don't know, we were talking about who's going to play each of the Guerrilla Cricket contributors in the movie, in GC the movie.
Oh God!
Have we got
come on, then.
Down for you, Hendo.
Who've I got? Come on.
Was it Danny DeVito? I can't remember.
I thought it was going to be. Someone said Phil Dupitus one time, or even. Cool. I certainly say no to Johnny Vegas. I'm sorry.
John Gielgud, maybe?
I don't think you have editorial control. Anyway, there's a change of bowling, and it's going to be Jasprit Bumrah who will jingle up after his first delivery to Jameson, who tries to play a sort of a covered drive away from his body to a shortish ball and misses it. So let's have his jingle.
And now then, Marty Bumrah, oh, you're bowling again, aren't you? Oh, I thought as much.
Indeed, 0 for 51 of 23.1 overs, which they're not flattering figures in a low-scoring game where wickets have fallen at regular intervals. As Bumrah is in again to Jameson, and he does find a gap in the offside. There is nobody square saving one. He's back on the boundary, so it's an easy single out to deep point. 180 for 6. The deficit now 37. As Jameson moves on to 14, and Williamson has 32.
I'm regularly telling I don't know if anyone remembers me telling them my story about Dickie Attenborough, but if you don't remember it, if you don't tweet in and tell me what it was, I will regale you with it again.
I don't think I've ever heard it. I've heard a lot of your stories.
Yeah, you probably heard it. I'm pretty sure you've heard it. I'll tell you after this ball.
This is exciting.
Let's
hope nothing interesting happens in the cricket.